Welcome, everyone. So today, we're diving into a really fascinating and deeply profound explainer based on the 21st word. It's a classic spiritual text by the scholar Said Nursi. We're going to unpack this concept called the fifth warning, and we'll be asking a question that kind of challenges the very way we look at our daily routines. Specifically, how can a remarkably short amount of time completely transform not just our day, but our entire eternal journey? It's a pretty powerful premise to think about. Okay, let's dive right into this. Think about it for a second. How often do we measure how valuable a task is just by how long it takes to finish? It is a classic cognitive trap. Our ego naturally, but totally incorrectly, assumes that if something takes a long time, it must be highly important. And on the flip side, it tells us that if a task is quick, well, it must have low importance. We fall into this time illusion every single day, just assuming that short tasks are these throwaway moments in the grand scheme of our busy lives.
But we really need to completely reframe that mindset. Actually, scratch that. We need to flip it upside down. A short moment, a heartfelt apology, a split-second decision, or a dedicated time for prayer can literally change your entire day. I mean, we'll happily waste 20 minutes just scrolling to find a movie to watch, right? But then we convince ourselves we just don't have 5 minutes to center our souls. A genuine apology that takes maybe 5 seconds can save a 20-year relationship. A momentary decision can alter your life's entire trajectory. And as our source text reveals, a brief moment set aside for prayer holds that exact same transformative power. These brief, powerful moments, they aren't interruptions. They actually hold the key to illuminating our whole life.
Moving on to Section 1, the investment mindset, low effort, high reward. We've got to shift our perspective away from this constant anxiety of losing time and step into the empowerment of investing time. And this brilliantly illustrates that shift. Prayer, or namas, is absolutely not a loss of time. Rather, it's a small expenditure of time for an infinite, eternal return. Think of it like this. We dedicate hours upon hours every single day to countless worldly tasks, working, scrolling, doing chores, the whole shebang. But this comparatively tiny slice of our day, this small spiritual investment, is the only one that actually secures our eternal journey. It is the ultimate asymmetric investment. Minimal time down, infinite value back. It doesn't just impact those specific minutes, it literally gives meaning to your whole day and your entire life.
So let's look at Section 2, redefining consistency beyond fleeting feelings.
Look, maintaining any daily habit is a struggle. Our enthusiasm naturally fluctuates from day to day. Some days, you wake up feeling completely at peace, totally ready to fulfill your duties, and other days, well, it feels like an absolute chore. And you know what? That is a completely normal human experience. We constantly confuse emotion with loyalty. Over on the left, we have emotion, which is driven by enthusiasm, peace, and just how we happen to feel in the moment. When we feel good, worship is a breeze. But on the right, we have loyalty, and that's driven by duty and steadfastness. The text makes such a profound point here. Prayer isn't something you drop just because your emotional weather changes. True worship relies on steadfast loyalty, not on chasing temporary feelings. It's about showing up even when it's just to fulfill your duty. Because ultimately, servitude isn't just a feeling, it's loyalty.
Which brings us to Section 3, the reality of today, synthesizing the 5 warnings. Our ego is an absolute master at generating excuses to skip our duties, isn't it? It whispers that the effort is too high or that worldly affairs are just way too pressing right now. But we can defeat every single one of those excuses right here by looking at the reality of time. Walk with me through this logic for a second. Yesterday, it is past and gone, it's dead. Tomorrow, completely not guaranteed, it is essentially a ghost. Therefore, the only real illuminated life you possess is day to day. The ego's excuses just fall apart when you realize you aren't carrying the weight of the past or the future. You only have to manage today. Every new day is a whole new world, and it is illuminated by taking action right now. All our spiritual focus must be entirely anchored in today. The effort is low, the gain is high, and today is literally all we actually have.
Let's get practical with Section 4, the actionable microplan, building solid steps. We really need to bring this lofty philosophy right down to earth. Because, hey, philosophy is wonderful, but strategy is what actually changes our behavior. So here is a low-barrier plan. Step 1, create a simple 1-week plan. Step 2, identify your absolute hardest prayer time. And Step 3, protect that specific time first. Please, do not exhaust yourself by setting massive life-altering goals on day 1 that just leads straight to burnout. Start incredibly small.
Target your weakest point. Maybe it's right in the middle of a busy workday when you're easily distracted, and focus solely on protecting that one specific time. Consistency doesn't start with massive leaps. It starts with small, solid, undeniable steps. And finally, Section 5, the final choice, margin or center. As we wrap up this explainer, we really have to look at the geometry of our lives. Where are we placing the things that actually matter? We've seen that the time required is small, but the impact is massive. Let's read this powerful quote together from the source material. Prayer is not a small detail added to a person's life. It is a center that converts life capital into eternal gain. Wow, that changes everything. It totally cements the idea that yes, our worldly affairs absolutely matter, for sure, but they must revolve around this eternal center, not the other way around. We spend so much of our lives treating our most vital spiritual duties as optional add-ons, just scribbled in the margins of our daily planners. But it is actually the center that converts the fleeting capital of our lifespan into something permanent. Which brings us to our final defining question. Will you leave prayer on the margin of your life, or will you put it at the center?